Well, hello and welcome to Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, Living Legacies. Oh, how we love that title. It's Wednesday night. So every Wednesday night, we bring you a leading lady who's going to share with you her journey, what she's about, why she loves what she's doing, and all of that. Our featured guest tonight is Ilene Gottlieb. And I'd like to share a little bit about her with you because she is known as the heart healer. So before we get going, I'd like to read this poem to you. This quote. It says, sometimes your heart needs more time to accept what your mind already knows. In other words, my friend, the heart rules. And that's what Ilene is going to share with us tonight because she's known as the heart healer. I could give you her bio. I could go on and on. She's been at what she's been doing here for over 25 years, and yet she's been a registered nurse and so much more. But I want you to say hello and to meet her because we're going to take a lot of time here to discuss the heart and why it's so vital and so important. So I want you, by the way, welcome. Help me to welcome Ilene. Ilene, hello and welcome. Welcome. Good to see you.
It's my joy to be here, Joy.
Well,
thank you so much for asking me.
It's my pleasure to have you here because the soul work that you're doing is innate within my being, and I so believe in it, and I so accept the whole premise. So I'd like for you to share with us a little bit about how you came to this and why you do it and love it so much.
I think I came to it quite naturally. I think it's in my DNA, to be honest with you. I'm one of those people that as a child, I wore the nurse's uniform for Halloween. Mm-hmm. You know, the little white uniform with the sneakers and the little bag and the fake candy and a little thermometer and a little hat. Yes, and a stethoscope. That was me as a child. And I also come to the healing arts quite naturally because I am, my mother and my sister and I are all nurses. And there are many healthcare people in my family, but in my immediate family, it was really quite natural, although our mother tried to talk us out of it, believe it or not.
Really?
But we all took a different path. And the path that I chose was initially as a pediatric nurse. And those were probably the most joyous years of my clinical career as I worked at Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. And I loved working with particularly teenagers. We had a very special, back in the 70s, we had a very special environment that was unique for teenagers. It was actually a trial. It was not mainstream at the time. But working at such a esteemed institution as Children's Hospital in Philadelphia was an amazing opportunity for me. And I loved every minute of it. And so, yes. And
I'm sure you did because working with kids, babies, and teenagers, that's our developmental beginning. So how can that not be a fulfilling type of work that you do? So I get that. I really do. And then
you have to love it. You do have to love it, you know, because otherwise it's just too difficult. And I was grateful for my time that I spent there. And as time moved forward, I want to say around 85 moving forward, my career changed. Mm-hmm. And I was a nurse legal assistant for a law firm that did healthcare law. And I did that beautiful work for 12 years. And I enjoyed every moment of it. It was very different expression of my clinical nursing gifts and abilities. And it was while I was working there that I was introduced to a different way of thinking.
That's where we're coming to because I love you. You know, I'm always, fascinated by the connections that we make because my love, appreciation, and value for kids, babies, and teenage girls is phenomenal. So there's that connection there. But my question for you is, I heard all of the things that you shared. When and how did you come to the heart healing type of work that you're doing now?
I woke up to my spiritual connection, my connection to my heart, to my creator, to source, whatever word you want to use for what that is. For me, it is a God connection. Back in 93, 94. And it was in this experience of waking up to all of my gifts that I understood why I had shut them all down when I was a child. I'm very empathic and very intuitive, and I had no one in my family that really could have known to understand that. Perhaps my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, but she died before I was born. So there really wasn't anybody to guide me, and it was so uncomfortable. I came to understand in 93, 94 when I did this special work to wake up, so to speak. And I found that the reason why I could not remember a lot of my childhood was because as I shut down these gifts because I couldn't handle them, right?
Ilene, yes, I hear you. You know why? Because this word that you use is a word, we have our buzzwords that buzz around from time to time. And one that you use, and there are others, empathic. And I think for a young person, when you have that gift, that knowing, unless you have someone who is innately in sync with you and understands, it can be very, very difficult to grab on and embrace it. And I think that's what I'm hearing that you're saying, because your grandmother might have, but she was no longer. So you were like left with the puzzle.
I didn't know it at the time, though. I had no recall of it until 1993, 94.
Oh, okay.
I just knew that I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. I have an older sister that has a memory like an elephant. She's extraordinary in that gift. And I rely upon her to remind me of certain things, but I honestly don't know whether what I remember is from our old movies or from my actual experiences, a lot of it. And so having the understanding that these gifts, I had come in with them, and it was a matter of how do I now live with them?
How do you navigate using them for you and for others?
Correct.
So what tools did you begin to use? Are you using now? I know that meditation is one of the things because we spoke to this briefly. What other means are you using to explore and utilize this gift, not only for you, but to share it with others?
I think the understanding of it, the awareness of it, and the understanding of what it is, that it is a gift.
Yes, it
begins what our relationship is with whatever our gifts are. And I had an extraordinary woman that helped me to wake up to these gifts. Meditation, I had started long before that. I started doing transcendental meditation back in the 70s. And so meditation was a natural part of being centered and being grounded. And it helped. But I think that as I completed my work, my initial work with this facilitator, who is no longer in a body, unfortunately, what I realized was that the only way that I can work with this is if I have an understanding of what the energetics of it are. And I was so beautifully guided from the minute I finished my initial work with her. It's a whole other story, but that I started doing what was my foundational energetic healing work, which is healing touch.
I get what you're saying, because what you're saying in verbiage is verbiage, but you through her knowledge, awareness, and creativity, you had your awakening. So my question to you is, how does another person, how do others realize that they're really connected, truly connected to their heart? How does one get to that discovery?
I think that most of us know it on some level, but we don't trust it. And I think that's a huge part of what I do as a facilitator of healing. And I work with a lot of people and have over these many years that are very empathic and intuitive and are looking for a way to be in the experience and see it as a gift and not as a curse. But we all come into this life and these experiences of our gifts very differently. And the human part of it is the part that we're learning from. But to me, the goal here and the sole purpose of all of us being here is to remember how to be a loving presence to ourselves first
Absolutely.
as we navigate this human journey. And so that takes a conscious connection to the heart and an awareness of what that means for each of us.
Yes. Yes.
And it doesn't mean the same thing, nor does it look or feel the same way for each of us.
And nor should it, because everyone's religious path or spiritual, sometimes they're combined and connected and sometimes not, is
Right.
contingent upon the person, their upbringing, their background, and their culture, all of those variables.
Agreed.
So it all depends. But my gut, you share with me, is that more and more people today are wanting to be more in sync with their knowing, their spiritual, the essence of who and why and what they're to do while here. Do you sense and feel that too with heart?
Oh, I know it. I absolutely know it.
I like it.
And the children coming in today are extraordinary. Their energy awareness, their connectedness, their understanding.
Yes.
You know, the only thing that limits them is who they decided to be born through, depending upon what your beliefs are. So if they're in an environment where their parents are as energy aware as they are, then they have built-in guides. If not, then they've created a journey similar to what I have. And these are a lot of the people that I work with.
This is great. You're speaking my language now, because you see, one of my many beliefs, and I don't believe in pushing beliefs onto anyone, is that we decide and we choose our parents and why we come here. And then our journey is to discover that why and to find out and then to be about that why, which is
I hear you.
It's just a
I hear you. Absolutely.
Now tell me, I think you spoke to it, but yet I'd like for you to speak to it a wee bit more. Who are pretty much the people who come to you to get more grounding in tuning in and listening to their heart? Because for many, many moons, I think most people thought that it was the mind that rules, but not really. It's better when they're connected. So let's speak to that. Who are the people who come to you and why they come to you?
Okay, it's a good question. And I think it's changed a lot over 25 years.
Of course.
So I believe that in the beginning, when I first started doing this work, the majority of my clients are women. They range in age from late 20s to 60s or older.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them have experienced abuse of some kind or another, some trauma that has shut them down tremendously, and they've gone through traditional forms of therapy, etc., plateaued, and they didn't know what else to do. And so a lot of these people were my clients when I first started my practice many years ago. In the last, I want to say 4 to 5 years, and the years in between have been everything from working with men, women, children, people with physical issues, people with anxiety, people with energy sensitivity, looking for some guidance in how they can deal with navigating this human experience. But the last 4 to 5 years, my clientele has changed significantly. I work a lot with heart-centered entrepreneurs.
Well, this is where I wanted to get to, because I know that you do the radio show, and I'm sure you're international. So you have met and connected with a lot of women, people, not just women, people, but entrepreneurs are in the forefront for you now. Is that what I'm hearing?
Not so much necessarily on the show, but in my private clients.
Yes,
many of them are very heart-centered entrepreneurs, and they're looking to address whatever it is in their relationship with themselves is limiting them in some way, either in their personal life or in their business, because to me, they're one and the same. Who we're being is always going to be reflected in our relationships outside of ourselves and in our businesses.
Well, I'm more than fascinated with the work that you're doing and understanding the reason that you're doing it, because for me, it's about heart-centered leadership is my verbiage. And so the heart has to rule. And I think I don't think. I have your verbiage. I know. I have my knowing that it's just our time. It's our time to rise and to be connected because we are the pillars for whatever is going to come. And if
Mm,
that heart is not connected to the mind and working in the right way, we're not going to be able to accomplish that. So I love that you are a heart healer because the heart has to be healed. The trauma, and most of us, many of us, have had some type of issues that we're constantly dealing with that we have to get over and beyond. And
right.
this is what your work is about. And so you're telling us the type of women who are coming to you, the people who are coming to you, mainly entrepreneurial people. What is
Mhm.
the number one? I heard you say trauma, but some of the things that you're sharing with them that they can do to open up the heart and broaden their horizon and be more heartful in their expressions and doings and deeds.
I think it's very individual, Joy, to be honest with you. I don't have a specific process that I walk clients through. The work that I do is very individualized because, as we just said before, and you agreed, we're all a different human expression, and we're creating experiences for us to, in my belief, we're creating on some level of consciousness experiences that will help us to understand and remember our soul's purpose, which is to be a loving presence unto ourselves. So
Yes.
for me, anything that's a source of suffering or challenge, if you break it down to the core, it's always going to be about who we're being in our relationship with ourselves. And when we begin to shift that, everything else shifts. And so I'll share a quick story with you because you asked about a tool, and I
Yes.
need to give you a little preface in order to be able to explain where it came from.
Go ahead.
So I mentioned that a lot of my memories were gone from childhood and young adulthood as well. And I realized last year when something triggered an event in my house, in my family,
Yes.
triggered,
Hmm.
I realized that I had PTSD from
Ah,
childhood experiences that I never really recognized as being quite that. And
mhm.
for all the years that I kept saying, why do I always attract so many people that have had so much abuse and trauma? Well, hello. We attract exactly the energy that we are for two reasons, I believe. One, to learn what we need to learn, and the other
Exactly.
is to serve through what we know. Yeah, right?
Mhm,
And so what happened last year, the whole experience of what that did to my energy system was it was very challenging. It took colleagues of mine, because I couldn't work on myself initially, over a month to bring my field back together again. It was difficult. I have a great deal of honoring,
I have,
even more
yes, yes, yes. I'm with
for
you
people
all.
with PTSD than I ever had before.
I hear you all the way. I'm with you all the way because you're
Mm,
speaking to something that's paramount in what we're about, and that is building the best relationship with self. There's so
mm,
many ways to express it. There's so many
agreed.
ways to say it. And when you say that PTSD, you discover it later, and the people that you bring into your life are people that are more or less dealing with a lot of the things that you are. We all get that because that's what it's about. That's why I love this leading ladies, leaving legacies, because we're all dealing with different things, but we all have that blending of different things that we deal with and we're relating and connecting to so that we can rise to the best that is within us.
Mm,
So your story and how you're sharing it, I think we all get it. Everyone here, I'm sure in the audience can relate and
thank
connect
you.
to that. Tell
Thank you.
I'm not going to cut your story off, but time just flies here. Tell us when someone comes to you, explain to someone in what you're sharing with us about your recent experience. But what does one take away? What do they get when they and get involved with you for the sessions to get to the core of the heart healing? What are some of the tools, the gifts that they walk away with after they've worked with you?
And I think that in order for me to explain that, let me just walk you through how I came to it.
Sure.
One of the tools, besides heart breath and heart connection,
Uh-huh.
that's a core tool that I make sure that everyone is proficient at.
Okay.
The second is the process of Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian healing and clearing process that came into my life last December. I have been doing it for over 10 years, but not having ever studied it. It was one of those things that I was just intuitively guided to do for myself or within a client session on
And you
behalf
didn't have a name for it.
Say again?
You didn't have a name for it, but you were doing it. You were doing it.
No, I knew what it was. I had just never studied it.
Got it.
I don't do a lot of in-depth study of many things. I really honor that whatever I need to know comes through
Yes.
for me in the intuitive channel. And I've
Wonderful.
trusted that for many years. And
Yes.
it works really well for me in both for my personal life as well as how I work with clients. And so this process came to me at a time when I was really struggling. And without going into all the details, because we are limited with time, the profound change in what happened to me physically, emotionally, energetically, as well as with the relationship with my person that was the source of my trauma, who is still in a body, has been nothing less than miraculous for me. And so I have been guided to teach this. So for whatever clients are open to it, that's part of their session time, you know? And I see someone from our audience who is a wonderful, wonderful divine lady who just recently learned this. I love it. Jen, thank you.
It's
She
great.
is a divine, divine young woman and mom of kids. And it's been a joy to bring this work to clients individually at first. And I was also recently guided to start teaching it, which I did starting back in June. And it has, and I love to teach. I think it's the patient education part of me with the nursing hat, you know?
Ilene.
You're always teaching something, you know?
Ilene, this is my belief. I think that we're all teachers.
Agreed.
I think we come here, we develop, we process, we excel in whatever our gifts are. We master, we conquer in love, and then we just give it all away. We're business women. I don't mean give it away for free, but it is complimentary in many ways. But you give it away because you can't hold on to anything. So what is the purpose? What is the sense of that?
It's the joy of serving. I agree.
It's the joy of serving and sharing your knowledge, your creativity, your gifts with other people. That's the beauty of the whole circle of life, in my opinion. Let's forget about The Lion King. It's more about that.
It works. It's a good movie. It's a good play.
In many ways, in many different ways. It's amazing.
Right.
Now, it is true that the heart, or I should have asked you before I got going here, though, Ilene. Do you believe, or is it your belief, that the heart is the true ruler of the body, mind, and spirit? Or do you feel that it's connected with the mind? And how would you define that in your verbiage?
That's an interesting question. So I think the best way to answer it is I have to share what I believe, right? So your viewers will either embrace this or they can toss it. But don't toss me, please, right? Don't toss the baby with the bathwater.
Never.
So what I believe is that that our soul essence, when we take our first breath into these bodies, anchors its light into all of our cells. And our soul essence is nothing less than pure, unadulterated, unconditional love, right?
Yes.
And so we're never disconnected from the heart and from the love, but we are consciously disconnected from it as part of this human experience, this human construct, shall we say.
Yes.
And it's not something that we plan for. It just happens. It's part of being human. And so finding our way to live consciously in this relationship with ourselves from the heart, and then having every part of us be expressed from this way, I mean, to me, that's the ultimate joy. So what I know is, and what science is catching up with, and I think most metaphysicians have known this for eons, and I
Yes.
love that the HeartMath Institute, so for those of you that like that left-brained information, go to HeartMath, HeartMath.org.
Yes.
This is the home of the HeartMath Institute, which has been doing research about the intelligence of the heart organ, which to me is one and the same with the heart energy center, right? And they found that the heart organ can do what the brain cannot. It can bring all of the organ systems into harmonic balance with its vibration. And the vibration of the heart is synonymous with the vibration of love, which is immeasurable. It's so high.
Is it not fascinating?
I love it.
Is it not beyond anything? How could you not? And love would be the word that you would use. My friend, we could go on, you and I, and the audience, and those who will come after for the replay. But time flies here. So I know that you are going to, and I'm wondering how we should do this. You tell me what works best for you. I know that you're going to be offering something to the people who are here in the audience, and maybe those who will come if they've been with you before for the replay. But how would you like to offer your sessions for them that it will be complimentary if they want
Okay,
to connect with you?
so for the first two people that type in wherever they type it in, I'm not familiar with Be Live.
Okay.
Type in "Love is Healing,"
Okay.
and I will be thrilled to gift you with a complimentary session with me. And Joy will let me know who you are, and I will reach out to you. So put your contact information there so that we know how to reach you. That would be my joy. But I would also, do we have a couple of minutes, Joy, where I can?
Absolutely. We have about a minute. Yes.
Okay, so really quickly, Ho'oponopono is I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you.
Oh my.
And I invite you to, without even knowing the details of it, say it as often as you can, because it is incredibly powerful in how it promotes the clearing of root causes. And if you'd like more information about that, by all means, please reach out to me. I am happy to share.
Oh, wonderful. Say that again, because this person I know of, and I'm sure many in the audience know, and those who will come, they know too, but this is a person that I admire and look to. So say again what you want many of us to embrace.
I would love for you to embrace the language of I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, or just I love you, or just thank you, in response in the moment to something that doesn't feel good to you, or proactively. And there are other ways to use the prayer, but those are two really good ways to get started. It will make a huge amount of difference to all of us because we're all connected. So as you clear the issues, the root causes for what's going on with you, it helps me and it helps humanity. So I thank you from my heart for all that you do.
Oh, Ilene Gottlieb, I thank you. This has been, I'm going to extend this time to 45, 50 minutes because it just seems so much more we could talk about. You are just overflowing with love and information. It has been my pleasure to have you here. I am delighted. You speak to all the things that resonate within my core soul essence being. And so I'm honored that you would take the time to spend with us. I'm going to ask you to step to the staging room, the green room, and just wait there for a minute and say thank you to the audience. We welcome you. We love it that you were able to share all this information with us. And I'll be with you in just a second. Thank you again.
Thank you, Joy. It's been my joy.
Oh, my. What can I say? I can say that my cursor is always temperamental. It has its own personality, as we all do. Wasn't she delicious? Oh, my goodness. If you are not familiar with Ilene Gottlieb, please take note, the email, the name, the website, and connect with her. This woman is just overflowing with love, inspiration, motivational, everything that will help us all to be our better self. That's what we're all here to be. And then just to give it away. I'm like a little kid off to school every day when I meet and greet these fantastic phenomenal women. Love having them share space and time with me, and always love it when I look out and I see that you're here. By the way, Ilene mentioned something that's very close to my heart and yours as well, or you wouldn't be here, and that's relationships. But the best relationship we start with, she mentioned this in different ways, it's with ourselves. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you've not done it before, there is a joint venture that I'm about. It's all about your conversational style, how you speak, how you deliver what you want to say to others, and then how they come back to you. And then you'll get more of a handle about your style, and you'll get a glimpse of the other three. And so you'll be able to know more about how you connect with people and the best way to connect with people. And the best way is not through the mind, it's through the heart, feelings. You have to get some emotion there that you touch base with them. And that's what this will do. So if you put key, Key, in, then you will be delivered with your email and your information, a test, personality test that will tell you your style, and you'll have fun with it and you'll enjoy it. That's a promise. In the meantime, tonight, as every Wednesday night, for me, and my prayer is that for you as well, was enjoyable, educational, fun, entertaining, and all those other good adjectives. I look forward to seeing you here every Wednesday night, and I'm happy when you are here because we know it's not the best time, but you arrive. I will not be broadcasting next Wednesday night. I have a great, phenomenal, powerful event that I'm going to be at, but I will be back the following week. Whatever you do the best that you can for you. Look after you and do the best that you can, because then, like Ilene and so many others, you'll be able to look after and care for others. It's Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, Living Legacies. Until we connect again, and soon, you be and stay well. All the best. So long for now. Cheers.